But before starting that, let's understand what are JWT tokens and what are this ID and access token. So JWT token is made up of three things. JWT token is first is just random string. Here if I see, we got this ID token and it's from here to here. So JWT token, as we can see, it's just random string, but it is made up of three parts separated by this dot here, and one more dot will be somewhere in between here. It is made up of three elements. Also, I forgot to mention both ID token and refresh token are JWT. So that's why we are using this ID token to understand JWT. So here we can see it's made up of three parts, and first part is called header, this part is called payload, and this part is called signature. As we can see here also, first is header, payload, and signature. Before we go and visualize JWT on JWT.io, let's understand how JWT is actually made. So suppose we have some JSON data that we want to convert into JWT. What we will do, we will use either symmetric or asymmetric keys and use data plus key to create a signature. And the JSON data which we have, we will convert that, we will encode that data in base 64, and also we create a header which contains information regarding the key. And then once we have header, signature, and payload, we just join them using this dot, and we have JWT token as a result. So what we can do, we can go to JWT.io, and here we can see it already given us some default JWT value here, and we can see that this is the header and it contains information algorithm, which algorithm is used. It's used HAS 256. It is symmetric key, and symmetric key means same key is used to create signature and verify signature. And this is the payload, this is the actual JSON data, and here it is, its name and IAT means at what time this JSON was created, and this is the signature. And this signature can be verified using the key which was used to create this signature. So we can see here that our actual data is never hidden. Even as part of JWT, it is available for everyone to see. The only benefit of JWT here is that this signature verify the integrity of payload, that this payload has not been altered. And also here this JWT.io have new version also. So if you visit this site later, probably UI might look something like this. And also here we saw that the payload is nothing, is just actual data encoded in base 64. So what we can do is, I can copy this data here and inspect it. I can go to console, JavaScript console, and I can run A2B function and paste my payload here. It's failing here because it's expecting me to paste a string. So I added quotes, and here we can see the actual value. So nothing is hidden, nothing is encrypted here. It's just signature which is useful here. Similarly, this part is also just base 64 encoded value. So here also I can do A to B, put it here, and here we can see the data. Now let's see how JWT can be used for authentication purpose. Before that, we will once again recall the session based login which we discussed earlier. So what we discussed is that user enters username and password, it goes to database, it verifies, and if it's valid, it creates session token and stores in database, and then returns session token to user's browser and stores in cookie or some storage. And from next time, same session token goes to web server, and if this session token matches with session token in database, then request is considered as valid and response is returned. And this session token has some expiry time. After that, session token is deleted from database and user have to log in again. Or if user lost session token from their browser, then also they have to log in again. Now with JWT based authentication, the flow is something like this. User enters username and password, and web server verifies the password and create JWT key. It can use either symmetric or asymmetric key to create JWT. Like Cognito uses asymmetric key, and sometimes in Node.js, if you are using your own authentication mechanism, you can use only symmetric key also. So JWT is created and returned to the browser and stored in the browser. After that, from second time when call happens, we just validate the JWT using the key, and if JWT is valid and it is not expired, then we return the data. Now what is important here is that we can see in both pictures. In this one we can see that we need database to store the session token. Here we do not need any kind of database to store the session token. So if we are using microservice based architecture, there every microservice will come and talk to this database and ask that if the session token is valid or not. But here its authentication is stateless and decentralized. Any microservice can take this token and verify that if it have the key, it can easily verify that this token is valid or not. So this is JWT based authentication, or difference between session based authentication and JWT based authentication. Now let's see how JWT based authentication is used in OAuth flow with Cognito. So here what happens is that first user makes call under different kind of workflows. We already saw that when user tries to log in, it is redirected to Cognito login UI, also called authorization server UI. So it is redirected there, and then user logs in inside Cognito UI, and Cognito uses its private key. It uses asymmetric encryption, so it uses its private key to create a JWT token and then return that JWT token to the browser, user's browser, and that token is stored in user browser's cookie. And from next time when user wants to call to my application API, so suppose it wants list of to-dos, then it will pass that JWT token which it got from Cognito, and that token will arrive at my backend. But here my backend have no key or any way to verify that token. So what it will do, in under OAuth protocol, it authorization server always exposes one endpoint that provides public key for verification of JWT issued by this server. So in this case, Cognito will also expose one endpoint where it will provide public key for JWT verification. So my server will call that URL and keep that key in advance, and then use that key for verification of JWT. If JWT is valid, then it will send the necessary data. To see where we can find that public key in Cognito, so I will go to overview of user pool, and here we can see token signing URL key. I will click on the link, and here we can see these are the keys. So I guess first one might be for ID token and second one might be for access token, and both are using RSA encryption, RSA 256 encryption for creating the JWT token. So now at this stage, if I go back here, we are done with introduction of OAuth 2.0 flow. We know why we need OAuth. We understand what is OAuth. We understand what is JWT token, different grant types, and how to use JWT token with OAuth. One thing that we forgot to discuss is regarding ID token and access token. So we saw that after doing logging with Cognito user pool, we get ID token and access token, and with authorization code flow refresh token also. So refresh token is not JWT, but ID token and access token are JWT, and this access token is issued as part of OAuth 2.0 protocol. As part of OAuth 2.0 protocol, access token may or may not be JWT, but with Cognito it will always be in JWT format. And this ID token is issued as part of OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect is a protocol built on top of OAuth 2.0, and this token contains information regarding user, like what is user profile URL, or what is email and username. And it is generally intended to be used by application, or like React application, to show username and other details. And this access token is generally intended to use by APIs. So it contains details like scopes and probably group also, Cognito. So we can use those details. Let's quickly create the token and see if it contains, if access token contains a scope also or not. So I will go to if access token contains group name or not. So here I have user, this user, and I have group. Okay, so what I will do, I will quickly go and I will add this user to part of group. It's added. Now I will for doing it quickly, I will change response type as tokens. So I do not need to do extra call, sign in. And here I got tokens. Here I have ID token, and here I have access token. From here to all the way till here. Now let's see this fresh token. Here, let's see if we have group information. Yeah, Cognito group information is present in access token, and also we have other details. Other important detail is this expiry date, when it is going to expire, and also issuer, which entity have issued it. So these are important details in access token. And also let's again see ID token. I guess ID token also have group information. Yeah, it also have group information here. Now what I wanted to explain is that according to convention, ID token is intended to be used by application, and APIs should use access token. But with Cognito, that line is kind of blurred. In Cognito, at multiple places we use just ID token only. For example, with API gateway, according to convention, it looks like since API gateway is API, we will use access token, but no, there also we use ID token. So yeah, that's what I wanted to tell. Now we are done. We are all done with OAuth. Now let's come to the implementation part. We are done with this small stuff here. Now what we are going to do, first we will see how to use OAuth flow with Cognito and React frontend, and there is no backend. Then we will see how to do it in traditional backend, like there is Node.js backend or Django backend, which is returning a server-side rendered HTML. PHP also comes in this category. Then we will see how to do Cognito and OAuth with something like React, which is hosted in S3 bucket, and Node.js backend, which is running in EC2 instance, let's say, and how we can use Cognito there. So in next section, we will start with this one.